Today, we dive into a critical story that has shaken Eastern Europe quietly but profoundly: the silent threat to Lukashenko's rule. Belarus, often called Europe's last dictatorship, has been under Alexander Lukashenko's grip since 1994, and yet, beneath the surface, serious challenges are emerging that may quietly destabilize his control. The exterior of Belarus under Lukashenko remains deceptively calm. Minsk, the capital, retains its orderly streets, Soviet-era architecture, and grand government buildings, which serve as visual symbols of authority. The cityscapes are punctuated by Lenin statues and wide boulevards designed for military parades, projecting power to both domestic and international audiences. In recent years, the government has invested in cosmetic renovations and security upgrades, making the streets look modern and well maintained. However, the calm exterior masks significant tensions within both the political and military structures of Belarus. Reports suggest an increasing number of silent protests, quiet acts of defiance, and internal dissent within government institutions. Ordinary citizens, while fearful of open resistance due to severe crackdowns, have found new ways to express dissatisfaction through underground networks and encrypted communications. The economic facade also presents a problem for Lukashenko. While Belarus heavily depends on Russian support, its economy shows signs of stagnation and growing public dissatisfaction. Inflation, rising unemployment, and shortages of consumer goods quietly fuel a simmering unrest that can, if properly organized, escalate into a significant political challenge. Lukashenko's strongman image is crucial here. He must maintain the appearance of control while facing a growing, silent undercurrent of discontent. The interior situation inside Lukashenko's administration paints an equally complex picture. The inner workings of the regime are often shrouded in secrecy, but various intelligence leaks and insider accounts have begun to reveal cracks in loyalty. Senior officials, once unwavering in their support, now reportedly exhibit hesitation, caution, and in some cases, outright disagreement with the president's decisions. These internal rifts are not publicly visible, but are significant because they undermine Lukashenko's capacity to react decisively to crises. Security services, traditionally the backbone of his rule, have faced increasing pressure from multiple directions. While the KGB in Belarus remains powerful and influential, there are concerns that younger officers are less loyal than their predecessors, questioning the ethical and strategic decisions of the leadership. Moreover, factions within the military appear divided in their support for the president. Some units are highly loyal and continue to prioritize regime stability, while others are reportedly frustrated with pay, living conditions, and the perception of Belarus as a puppet of Moscow. This creates an environment where internal threats are subtle, yet potentially explosive. The interior political dynamics also extend to the economic elite. Many oligarchs, who once benefited from Lukashenko's policies, now quietly hedge their bets, exploring alternative political alignments and safeguarding assets abroad. Such moves indicate a potential erosion of centralized power that, if combined with public unrest or strategic miscalculations, could seriously threaten the longevity of his rule. Social media and the digital space amplify this silent threat. Despite censorship, Belarusian citizens increasingly rely on online communication platforms to share information and coordinate activities. These virtual networks create a new arena of influence that bypasses traditional state control, enabling the dissemination of dissenting narratives, exposing corruption, and challenging the legitimacy of the administration. Lukashenko's regime, while adept at monitoring and suppressing direct opposition, finds it increasingly difficult to manage these diffuse, invisible pressures. Performance in Belarus under Lukashenko's rule, when analyzed, reflects the paradoxical nature of the state. On one hand, the president has maintained a tight grip on governance, ensuring the survival of his administration for nearly 3 decades. Belarusian public services, infrastructure projects, and state-managed industries continue to function adequately, demonstrating a level of administrative competence. The regime has managed to maintain domestic stability without resorting to full-scale militarization, which is rare for authoritarian governments in volatile regions. On the other hand, this apparent stability hides significant inefficiencies and corruption within the government. Economic performance is heavily reliant on Russia, particularly in the energy sector, creating a dependency that undermines sovereignty. Agricultural production, once a strong sector for Belarus, struggles with modernization and market integration issues. Industrial output, though significant in select sectors such as machinery and chemical production, often suffers from outdated technology and inefficiencies that reduce global competitiveness. Furthermore, international sanctions imposed due to political repression have limited Belarus' access to global financial systems, constraining growth and innovation. The performance of security forces also reflects these complexities. The police and military demonstrate capability in traditional operations, crowd control, and intelligence gathering, yet their performance is occasionally compromised by internal disagreements, low morale, and public perception of overreach. Safety features within the country, or the state's capacity to maintain internal security, are both extensive and highly strategic. The Belarusian security apparatus prioritizes regime preservation above all else. The KGB, Ministry of Internal Affairs, and specialized military units ensure surveillance of citizens, suppression of dissent, and preemptive neutralization of threats. Public safety is heavily intertwined with political loyalty, meaning ordinary law enforcement operates with high efficiency in maintaining order, but is rarely independent of political interests. The state has invested in technology for monitoring communication networks, ensuring digital oversight, and intercepting potential coordination among dissidents. However, the very measures designed to guarantee safety create vulnerabilities. Over-reliance on surveillance and repression generates resentment, leading to covert forms of resistance that are difficult to detect. In recent years, Belarusian cyber activists and independent media have exposed instances of corruption, abuse, and mismanagement, demonstrating that safety in this context is selectively enforced rather than universal. Unique selling points of Lukashenko's approach, from the regime's perspective, include stability, continuity, and centralized control. In a region often associated with political turbulence, Belarus presents an image of order, predictability, and strict governance. The administration projects itself as a guarantor of economic security, social services, and national identity, appealing to segments of the population wary of Western influence or rapid change. However, these selling points mask an underlying fragility. Stability is maintained through coercion, economic dependency, and the suppression of alternative political voices. Continuity is preserved by consolidating power within the executive branch, ensuring that dissent within official ranks is minimized. Centralized control enables swift decision-making, yet it also concentrates risk. Any breakdown within key institutions can have disproportionately large consequences, a reality increasingly visible in recent months. Public perception of these strengths varies. Some citizens appreciate the predictability and economic support provided by the regime, while others, particularly younger generations and urban populations, perceive these claims as hollow, fostering a quiet but pervasive skepticism. Price, both literal and metaphorical, represents another layer of complexity. The literal cost of maintaining this regime is substantial. Military spending, internal security operations, and political propaganda absorb significant portions of state resources. Belarus also faces economic costs due to international sanctions, reduced foreign investment, and limitations on trade diversification. Metaphorically, the price is perhaps even higher. The social contract between the government and its citizens has weakened, as ordinary people bear the brunt of economic inefficiencies, political repression, and restricted freedoms. Human capital is affected as younger professionals seek opportunities abroad, eroding domestic talent and innovation. The societal toll also includes diminished trust in institutions, growing emigration, and an underlying sense of uncertainty about the future. These factors combine to create a silent pressure that challenges Lukashenko's narrative of invulnerability. In conclusion, the silent threat to Lukashenko's rule is multi-layered, subtle, and increasingly difficult to manage. Externally, Belarus presents the image of order and controlled governance, yet internal political fissures, social discontent, and economic dependencies weaken this facade. The interior dynamics of loyalty and dissent, coupled with the pressures from modern communication technologies, create an environment where threats are invisible but potentially catastrophic. Performance and safety measures demonstrate capability but also vulnerability. Unique selling points emphasize stability and control, but they are undermined by quiet opposition and structural weaknesses. Finally, the literal and metaphorical price of this system highlights the delicate balance Lukashenko must maintain. Whether he can sustain his grip on power amid these subtle but persistent challenges remains uncertain. This is a story of power, control, and the hidden currents of resistance that can quietly redefine the fate of nations.